Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 936. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
We're in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
And hello, Ncuti Gatwa. Farewell for now, David Tennant. As we welcome a new era. Yeah, the longest fade over from era in Doctor Who history. With our review of the Giggle, also on this podcast. Other things with the Giggle, the Celestial Toymaker coming to DVD and Blu-ray in a slightly terrifying fashion. We'll get into that. A little bit of stats for you as I look at the news list, some Big Finish stuff, and other things to come in the weeks leading up to Christmas and the official proper, I'm rubbing my hands together, official proper debut of Ncuti Gatwa. But the Giggle special 3 of 3 that dropped on December 9th on Disney Plus and BBC One and nowhere else in the world. So there we go. The Toymaker's back and Mel's back very early on, as we had zaprudered earlier on in this podcast a few weeks ago. We had rightly surmised that indeed she was back. She was back like super early too. She's just like a paid employee of Unit now, because Kate Lethbridge-Stewart is basically just hiring all the Doctor's old companions.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
I mean,
no,
that's such an untapped pool.
That's
it
true.
Makes total sense to do that.
It does make sense, actually. Yeah. And they're bad negotiators too. So as evidenced by Donna's very quick negotiation with her own job.
Or she's a good negotiator.
$10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Who's going to complain about that?
That's true. So here we go. So the Giggle. So who wants to start on this one? Who wants to start on the Giggle?
Well, given Chris's predilections for RTD or lack thereof, I want to hear Chris's opinion more than
I must admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this too. Yeah.
I was fine with it.
No.
Okay.
There, done.
All right, moving on.
That's it. I'm done. No.
Yeah.
No, it was enjoyable enough. I think we always knew it was going to be bat bleep crazy.
Yeah.
That certainly delivered. I'm not going to pretend I necessarily understand why NPH had to go through so many accents. Like,
that's what he does.
Just
for fun, I think.
For fun, I guess. But
yep, that's all right.
There's no plot point behind it.
No.
Or his casual racism against the guy born in Cheltenham.
I think there was
a callback to sort of.
This is why this guy was the way he was. By
there's a hat tip
staff,
that this is why he was dressed up as in a Mandarin outfit in the
that could also be called plastering over an old problem. But
I don't think plastering over. RTD in the Unleashed was very cognizant of the fact that it's a very dated thing from the 1960s.
Yeah, I mean, with the best intentions, right? Of course,
I appreciated that he did that and didn't just sort of stop the episode to say, now listen, just so you know, this episode that you've never seen, and by the way, you can't see because it doesn't exist anymore, had a main villain who was probably racist. So it's like, wait, what just happened?
Well, even going so far in the commentary as to talk about how the Spice Girls song has a line in it that could be
which I didn't even
questionable.
Remember.
I was going to look that up, and I didn't.
Neither did I.
I want to look it up now. Keep.
And there's also, and when we get to the talk about the Celestial Toymaker DVD, Blu-ray, I'm sure we're going to want to ask the question of, is that line going to be in there?
Oh, well, you know what? There it is. I just saw the line. From
the Spice Girls, you mean?
Okay.
Okay, tell me later.
Okay. Yeah. It's not good. It's not good there. And that was from 2000. So you think that,
that wasn't that long ago. No.
It's not that long ago at all,
Well, if you ask Gen Y, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah. They don't say that anymore.
March 2020 is 4 or 5 years on its own. So
that's true.
Anyway, yes.
We derailed you, Chris. Sorry.
Yes. I enjoyed it well enough. There's some over the top RTD stuff that I maybe could have done without, I suppose. But on the whole, it was enjoyable. It was, there's a lot that happened that I didn't expect, like Ncuti Gatwa being there 2/3 of the way through the episode, and all that stuff that we'll get to later.
Yeah, guess we will. Warren, your initial initial reactions?
I enjoyed it. I'm kind of with Chris here. There was I expected RTD self-indulgence, and we got some of that, but it wasn't as. The way I look at it is my problems with it don't come anywhere near to, and I hate to bring up this bugaboo, but the end of time. Like that is self-indulgence gone mad. And this was much better than that in terms of self-indulgent RTD doing stuff. We'll talk about the bigeneration on its own, I think. But other than that, like I love the puppets. They're totally creepy, proper creepy. I love Donna beating the living hell out of a puppet. That was great. Which for all the Disney money in the world, and I have to give credit to friend of the show, Sarah Murphy, for this. She sent me a thing that said Disney money greater than, and then Donna Noble beating the absolute bleep out of a puppet. I mean, that is value for your dollar right there. I liked Neil Patrick Harris, but I thought he got less effective as time went on. I thought he was proper creepy at the beginning, and then the whole puppet thing was great. I thought that stuff was excellent. And then by the end, when he's on the gun, I'm like, well, now he's just wacky McGun guy. Like it wasn't in the whole ball thing. It was all fine, but he became less threatening. But he's very threatening when he's doing the weird Spice Girls dance. I gotta say that was even though it calls back to Sound of Drums, I guess, or another one, Last of the Time Lords. It was still fun. Like, and so were those actually, to be honest with you. I thought Tennant did a great job, and we'll get to this, of course, but I do like how his character handles all this happening as opposed to the way Ten would. And of course, seeing Ncuti was pretty great. You can tell we're in pretty good hands here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm glad I watched it. I watched it twice. Chris, you watched it 3 times. I don't know how many times I watched it. Warren,
once by itself, once with the commentary.
Okay, I was like you then. I did that, and it's settled with me more at the time after initial watching. I'm going, I found myself emotionally unaffected by it all.
We'll get to okay. For instance. I mean, this is all fan bait, but when they talked about Sarah Jane, I was like, oh.
I don't know. Even
you got me right there.
I don't know. There was a nice mention of that. They're really playing on the Adric thing. They are like making up.
Waterhouse is coming back. This is all to let Waterhouse come back.
They're making up for the first 5 minutes of Time Flight by saying Adric's dead. Let's move on. We got to go on. We got to go to the Crystal Palace, 1851. We just got to go and never mention him again. And it's like the show is now like officially like on Team Adric. Like we got to dismember him. They got to be like a banner up in the TARDIS console. It'd just be like a hovering
Captain Picard
hologram.
They just rearrange the words Picard to say Adric.
Just say Adric days. It'll just be
but they did steal that from the Enterprise.
Yeah, there'd be various kids like with their little drawings of his mathematical of excellence and stuff.
Rope belts all around.
Yeah. Rope belts.
This is getting weird, man. Maybe we should stop.
They keep his pants up.
Everyone has to read in their brother Varsh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. I think he was creepy when it started. Was a Celestial Toymaker. I like him. I like Neil Patrick Harris's performance in this. I like that. He was, you needed someone to sort of like be a good with magic and card tricks and juggling.
He is
and
actually
puppets,
legit phenomenal with it. So yeah,
he's proficient. He is an actual proper
magician,
puppeteer,
and puppeteer,
and magician,
all that stuff.
I love that he had no clue what Doctor Who was. I love that. I am adoring of that fact.
Well, I love what they said in the commentary where they're like, "Well, it's your fault for being a polymath, Neil."
Yeah, just like yeah.
Yet on I think it was The View after he shot his stuff last year. He was on the View talking about the show,
right.
or having done the show because Whoopi Goldberg is a huge fan of.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
and
is that the same where Neil Patrick Harris accidentally outed Ncuti Gatwa?
Ncuti Gatwa was the first gay doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, as seen in this episode, this doctor's pretty gay, I think, and I'm all for it.
Oh, I think we could all appreciate Ncuti Gatwa. I think a lot of people did. I think the costume department says, let's show Ncuti Gatwa off here a little bit.
I mean, the fact that the intro is him in his pants, as the Brits say. I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
good looking dude. Why not?
He is,
and it didn't change throughout the remainder of his time on
the whole time. The whole
this
time
is an actual official costume
on the episode. It's just like He just said he's pretty damn comfortable with it, you know? And you know what? If you see his Instagram and the various magazines that he's been posted on, it's like, yeah, Ncuti Gatwa.
Also, I love his bossy manner at the end. Yeah, get out. He says, get out my TARDIS.
I just love his little hand flip that he does too and everything. Yeah. Yeah, but even then, I mean, maybe this is, you know, Russell T Davies sort of saying, like, he's had this idea for years. And on the surface, I think it's kind of interesting where how, like, a doctor regenerates, but he doesn't, like, he gets to talk to his previous self, like, immediately. Like, it's not bringing an old doctor back to talk to the current doctor. It's bringing a new doctor forward in a way to talk to the current doctor.
Yeah.
And on the surface, I could say, yeah, that's kind of fun. You know what? It's a bit fanficky maybe, but maybe it's an interesting idea to choose. I'm not sure that the first full-time black doctor is the one you do it with.
I see where you're coming from there.
Because it kind of diminished that moment for so many people. The fact that Ncuti Gatwa was there. And like, it was like, oh my God, there's a black Doctor Who. Yeah. And he's basically emotional support for the 14th
Doctor. I thought
Doctor.
about that too.
And
you know?
Tennant got the TARDIS reveal that Gatwa doesn't get. And Gatwa's regeneration episode, but Tennant is the last Doctor you see.
That's also true. Yeah, although they are his special.
No, we do the last scene.
That's
of it.
Right. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, in the context of the show itself, like the story, it's more of this Doctor period essentially is coming to an end, and this is a whole new Doctor with, you know, a whole new way of looking at the world, right? So I get it within the context of that, but you're right, the meta version of it doesn't wash quite as well.
Yeah. So that part was kind of, you know, interesting to me. And by interesting, I mean slightly disappointing. And, you know, and he's just like instantly, and, you know, it's one of those things where like a big thing happens, but like the you know, the Toymaker has just shot a laser through Tennant's chest. And so he's just sitting there on this gun the whole time, this whole conference, everything's happening. Meanwhile, like they should have just done cutaways to like, you know, Patrick Harris going, looking at his watch, going, you done here so we can carry on with this thing, you know? And apparently they cut like a big thing. Like Mel apparently said, oh, I've seen regeneration before. She had a big thing. And even the doctor's going to say, you done now?
And Lacurtians or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Like, okay, you know, like it felt like a little bit like, where do you put like a regeneration scene like that? But they put it like in the middle of a battle sequence, which I thought was, I don't know, it kind of stopped the momentum of things a little bit.
On the other hand, I do like seeing this 14th Doctor have the adventure he can never have before. I thought that was a nice coda to the whole thing. Like,
that's true. Yeah. He will get sick of that in a week.
Probably, but
he will run off into that TARDIS again.
I've got some points on that to bring up later on.
You do? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that was I wanted to be. I mean, I suppose we'll have Ncuti Gatwa's big moment in the Christmas special, which is, you know, it's only like 2 weeks away when you're looking at it. Yeah. Which is not that bad.
And in the commentary, they don't. RTD specifically says Tennant's not going to be in the first season in any way, shape, or form. And also, he does say that with the TARDIS, because somebody in our commentary said I would prefer the original TARDIS. Apparently, that is the original TARDIS. Like Tennant is getting the new quote unquote TARDIS, and there will be something next season that will show that. Whatever that might be.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, Ncuti Gatwa has the jukebox in it.
Yeah, but that's the original. The original, you might say.
Yeah,
apparently, according to RTD.
Right, which I kind of liked. It's interesting, actually. We'll mention it later on, but in they literally just as we were pressing record last week, the BBC put out the David Tennant tour of the TARDIS YouTube thing, and they had like a time lapse photography of the TARDIS console, and like briefly, the very beginning, there's a jukebox in there, and then it's out. So it was in there from the very beginning. That jukebox was there, which is quite interesting when you think about when they were shooting these things. Before we get on to other things, I also just want to that part kind of not annoyed me, but it kind of left me flat a little bit, I have to admit. Another thing that's kind of been gnawing at me throughout the course of the day is that it felt a little less like launching a new Doctor than kind of like Marvel launching like a new franchise
by having it in the old franchise. Yeah, a little bit.
It felt like it was like just spawning sequels in a way. You know, and that Mel's there. Like honestly, great to see Bonnie Langford back. We already knew she was coming back because Ncuti Gatwa's first season. Was there a reason to have her in this? Probably not.
It was fun to have, though. I mean,
it was a fun thing to have, but now we've even lost that sort of reuniting with the Doctor and Mel. You know,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when he first sees her, like he does, the exclamation, all that kind of stuff, and then she's like, "We'll have to talk later."
Right, I know. Like even she's dismissing it. Like she's like, I don't know. Like it just felt like, oh, there's gonna be a unit thing, and my legions are coming, and there's a new Doctor, sure, but like, oh, maybe we'll have past Doctors because that's the thing. It just felt like they were just launching like several different spin-offs and sequels in the course of an episode.
Hints of them anyway, yeah.
Or hints of them, and I would have, it's the thing that I didn't like about several episodes of season 2 of The Mandalorian, because it just felt like, oh, is this a story about The Mandalorian, or are you just launching an Ahsoka spinoff now?
Or a Book of Boba Fett where it is The Mandalorian.
Or a Book of Boba Fett, and I'm worried. I don't want Doctor Who to be crushed under the weight of its own franchise. I don't think it's going to be no, but this episode felt like they were just laying seeds for stuff, as opposed to, here is our new Doctor. He's amazing. He's black.
Yeah, true.
And he's going to kick ass. And he's kind of lost in it because we're bringing so much other stuff back and laying the groundwork for so much else.
And as Mel lets us know, he's very pretty.
He's very pretty. But honestly, I would have been happy to have Mel in the next season and not have her be at all, because there was no real reason to have her here.
Yeah,
none. They had Bonnie Langford. She's great. She recognized the little arpeggio thing.
Actually, there was a reason to have her here, and that's to find out what happened to Sablon Glitz.
We could have found that out last year. Could have found that out next year too.
I know. I'm just saying.
I know what you mean. I did like the reference to Sablon Glitz for all you fans out there. He's from the Trial of a Time Lord Dragonfire back in the mid to late '80s, but I don't know. It just felt like there was one too many things in there, and they honestly, even Unit was superfluous when you think about it. Like they're
well, I mean, them having the means to the Doctor's regeneration, like I wouldn't say superfluous, but I would say overblown
a little bit.
Even with the Doctor's remark, like, I remember when your father did his best to keep the organization secret, and here you are.
Yeah,
and not in a bad I mean, he didn't say that in a bad way, obviously, but it could be taken in that way.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if when she was walking up to him really quick, if she was going to hug him or slap him.
Yeah, I thought she might slap him.
I totally thought slap. Yeah, absolutely.
Just the way she was walking up there.
On the other hand, this does show the Disney money at work. It is pretty impressive.
And you know what? It's seeing the helipad. As astute people were searching for Google Earth photos. It might still be there. I don't know. But that's the exact it.
Last I looked.
Yeah. Last I looked, there it is, right there on the helipad. So it's funny when they're talking on Unleashed. Oh, it's a closed set today. I think, is it really? Like, you look out, like, sort of
not
closed
set. There's Google. It doesn't.
Trees in the background, like someone just like across the bay. You could be just watching it. Like you didn't wall off the entire thing with blue screens there. But anyway, those are my Yeah, those are my abiding concerns with the episode. The ones that sort of stood out to me, but
I'll express surprise that you're the
I'm actually too.
You're not the naysayer as such, but the least appreciative.
I think in 2 weeks we're gonna forget about all this because it's gonna be all shooty all the time, baby.
Could be
Companion Ruby.
That's true.
Sunday.
Yeah. Anyway. Other talking points? What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the Toymaker? You want to talk about Neil Patrick Harris? We talked enough about him. I mean, about the history of it.
He was good at what he did, I think. He fulfilled the role he had, which is
fine. I thought he was really good. Like I said, the whole shifting of accents was a little annoying. I don't know something, but
it wasn't quite annoying, but it was.
He was. Well, like even right from the outset, like he's talking to the customer about the doll. He's like, I took the hair from a woman. She's not going to need it anymore. He's like super creepy from word go.
And I do like how RTD, when you talk about seeding stuff in, he is saying that the Toymaker is like sort of this pantheon of gods, and there's going to be these guys, whoever the hell they might be, coming to get the Doctor. So it's this whole new category of people that could come after him, which is kind of interesting. Also, I think the Toymaker killed the Guardians of Time, which I presume means the White and Black Guardian, because he does mention that.
I never thought about that. Yeah,
were they the voodoo dolls?
I think so. Yeah. Also, we haven't talked about the Master or whatever's going on there.
Oh no,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I've got that in my notes, so we won't forget about that.
Okay.
No, like one of you said that there's some, or had alluded to there was some inconsistency in the, I don't know, the craziness or the scariness of the Toymaker, and I would say it was pretty consistent throughout.
I think it was consistent. I think just because once everything started happening, once that, his regeneration was happening, I don't know. Actually, that's the third thing. Like the game was to throw the ball. It felt like a bit of a okay, so we're just chucking a ball.
Yeah, that part I was a little, okay, this is the big climax, the ball chucking
nonsense. They're just throwing balls around, and it's like, so if the key, just throw it where he isn't then. Like, you dropped the ball, you missed it.
Or just toss it off the edge.
Like, what were the rules? What if he just lobbed it over his head? It's like,
pretty sure when he missed the ball, Warren, it did go over the edge. So this was probably some dead guy on the ground.
What's a hacky sack?
Thanks to the ball falling. Yeah, but from that
height, he just missed it. He just misses it.
I do like how, I think it was
like Bill Buckner's it. It's like so weird. I don't know.
I think it was the YouTube behind the scenes. Both Gatwa and Tennant said, "Yeah, all three of us are terrible throwing this thing. None of us could catch it."
Yeah, but it was sort of like played for laughs and fun and stuff until and then all of a sudden, I guess the Toymaker missed it and now he's dead. I just thought, all right. Like there was no build up to it. There's no build up to him missing it. There was no real drama to them dropping it, either of the doctors.
The dog named Shaggy, who is RTD's, he lives still. Basically, that dog is less shaggy than he was in 2000 whatever 7, 8, 9, but he's still wandering around being shaggy.
It's still there, but it is kind of like the ending to Journey's End in a way, where all of a sudden we're just flipping a couple switches and spinning Daleks around and dragging Earth back to its regular spot.
But it's nowhere near as bad as that.
It's nowhere near as that. No, it's not that. Yeah.
And this seems more fun in a way, like more. It was fun. Let's just have fun than the back in the old days when Tennant was moping around, and which worked at the time, but it doesn't really work now. I like that RTD is like, no. At first I was okay. I'll tell you what my problem was with the bigeneration. It wasn't the bigeneration, because as it was happening, I'm like, oh no, it's real. The rumor is real. And then I realized, sitting back, I'm like, no, I actually don't care about this in the show. It's the fact that Reddit idiots were right. That's what gets on my butt.
So
it's like having nerds on the internet be right about something really annoys me. The actual thing in the show didn't bug me that much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Chris, you shared this article with us that I admit I didn't really read because I didn't want to, like prior to last week or in the upcoming or last week. I don't remember when it was now, but
a couple weeks ago maybe. Yeah, a rumor that both doctors would make it out of the regeneration scene, and neither Warren nor I were overly impressed by that notion. I mean,
but mostly because nerds were saying it. Now that I've seen it happen, I'm fine with it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, RTD said in more than one spot that this is an idea he's had for years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it does explain the memory TARDIS and everything that Big Finish has ever done, which is fine. In fact, Big Finish had a great tweet they put out, was just the picture of the guy in the yellow suit doing his hands like, yeah. right? Which is them going, we can do so much with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I was fearful that the rumor was going to come true, and it did. And
right.
I'm not sure what to think about the aftermath, because I liked the different. So after 60 years, mixing things up is not a bad thing in and of itself. Yeah. How you do it is where it gets good or bad. But the notion of having more than one doctor there, and they said, I think it was in the commentary, one of the original ideas was to have the doctor flip-flopping back and forth between incarnations. That would have been terrible.
Oh, absolutely. I don't want that.
Yeah.
This at least you have the ability, because one thing I really, really liked about it was, in unison they said to the Toymaker, I challenge you to a game. And the Toymaker's like, but there's two of you. And the doctor's like, there's just one. I'm the doctor.
Right.
They're the doctor. There's just one of us.
Yeah.
We're not cheating. It's your rules.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And having the line toward the end of doing rehab out of order.
Yeah, I like that line.
That's where this kind of works, because you've got, because the whole thing is Tennant's doctor trying to get better so that the next doctor, Gatwa's doctor, doesn't have to deal with all the emotion, all the angst, and whatever.
So, yeah.
Whereas in normal terms, you deal with that after the event, not before.
But But this is not normal.
The raw empathy that Gatwa's doctor had toward Tennant's doctor was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah, I love the kiss on the forehead. That was just really.
Another thing I thought of was, okay, so this guy has to do emotional labor for a white dude. That sounds about right. So
there was that.
I get why in the show itself, but like you said, if you look at a meta version of it, it doesn't.
It's one older doctor, giving comfort to the previous doctor, but but also black man, but also exactly
carrying the water for this guy, which doesn't seem fair.
I know. I think I'm okay with it. It's funny that like RTD sort of thinks that like his Doctorverse theory that he had in the InVision commentary, where he basically sees this happened all down the line. So like every regeneration that's occurred prior to this, they split just at that moment. So like there's now like a Colin Baker like lying on the floor in the TARDIS after Ronnie's taken the 7th.
And they're in the memory TARDIS now, and they're older, so they could come back in the show.
This makes sense. That does kind of make you look at the curator.
It sort of does. But friend of the show, Jake Simpson, messaged me about an hour ago, and he said, "Okay, I liked all this stuff, but what happens when 14 regenerates into what 15 again? Like, how's that work?"
Or Kat's theory was maybe he degenerates into the caretaker or the curator.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Goes revisiting a few of the favorites.
I mean, and the other thing is the rules should go out the window for the reasons Chris said, but also because he's a timeless child now and it's a bunch of other stuff. So, and also I was thinking about this. I'm like, okay, they changed the rules. Gallifrey used to be 3 guys in a room talking about stuff and the 3 doctors. So things can change.
Yeah. I also thought, given if we're going to bookend it with Toymaker appearances, maybe this didn't sort of end here and stuff. Maybe it goes back.
Maybe that's why it's so abrupt at the end.
Episodes 2 and 3. It actually starts there. The Toymaker has actually the one responsible for it in the beginning, because remember the big thing at the time was that John Wiles wanted to get rid of William Hartnell, and so they actually had the idea: what if we just made him disappear in the middle of the Celestial Toymaker, and at the end of it, he's a different person, so we get fire William Hartnell. And so he's gone. He's gone for the middle 2 episodes.
That's true.
And so
when
what if
when he was on holiday anyway?
When he's on holiday, he's on holiday for one of them. Yeah, I think he's on holiday for about 2 episodes in a row. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe you look at it as like this is the moment where he actually splits off. Right there, the Celestial Toymaker actually creates these.
NRTD says Colin Baker's hanging out with an older Patrick Troughton, so maybe that's where that comes from. Like in the 2 doctors.
The 2 doctors. Yeah. I know. Yeah,
I mean, it's all nonsense anyway, so it's as good an explanation as any.
It is.
See, that's just it. It's. I think we've all gotten bent out of shape here or there over something.
Yeah.
Over the years, but as Warren says,
for instance,
this is also made up.
It's all made up, as Thor said in Avengers Endgame. You made that word up. All words are made up. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Like I also like Tennant's doctor. We've gotten older. We're like, we could get mad about this, but why bother? Like, what's the point? In fact, I told Jake when I was talking to him, I'm like, I've just prepared myself. RTD is going to do what he does, and that's just that. And I can either enjoy it or not. So,
yeah.
And
So
I'm sure RTD has a lot less oversight than say Chibnall did.
Oh man, it's amazing. I mean, we're watching. We all watch the InVision commentary, and like it's recorded October 10th because he said so. And he's saying, "Oh, today is the day that they announced the Whoniverse." And I just recorded this for Doctor Who Unleashed. We're trying to keep this separate, and like everyone has to say something new. Along what we already discussed, like he is hyper aware of everything that's going on in the Doctor Who universe. He is everywhere, fingers in the pie of everything that's going on.
Which I mean, he was always his shtick anyway. Back in his first tenure,
it's commendable.
For the commentary, I was very appreciative that it was a fairly recent recording as well, because they could have done it back in June when they shot June of last year when they shot this.
Yeah, and it wasn't ready, but
they reconvened them for all this 2 months ago.
I know. Like, what is Tennant? I just want to point out, is Tennant really just coming back to Cardiff on October 10th, 2023, just to shoot a commentary?
Was it said they shot it in Cardiff though?
That could have been in London, yeah.
Maybe it was in London.
It would have made more sense.
He said he's back to Cardiff because he was just in the. Okay. He was in it. He went to see the TARDIS set again, so he's in Cardiff just to record an InVision commentary.
Well, they're going to remake Torchwood with the 14th Doctor, which I've just created right now.
Yeah.
Plus, he's getting paid for it, so why not? But I was kind of chuckling at the fact that RTD said, "Yeah, we're watching this on a laptop on top of some milk crates."
Which is great.
It's like no screening room, nothing fancy. Just here's the playback on a laptop.
Just to briefly share, I've got a friend who I interviewed for our work podcast, and then traditionally, whenever I interview her, which is like maybe once a year or something, she always sends me the behind the scenes picture, and it's inevitably a laptop on a milk crate or something.
Right.
So, and it doesn't look like that. You'd shoot something right off, even off a laptop screen, and it's going to look properly newsy. And no, it's never that. Actually, if you pull back, it's all hodgepodge nonsense. I was going to ask how do you rank the three of them?
The three of what?
The three specials.
The three specials.
We're doing this already?
Well, we can save it till later if you want, but I'm curious.
Whatever. Do it now. But
they're so different. I have a hard time ranking them.
But I think Wild Blue Yonder is way up above any of the other two for me. I think it's Blue Yonder, and these are all good, but Blue Yonder, Star Beast, and then this, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. Okay, I put Star Beast
definitely
at the bottom.
third. I don't know where it is for me. This is definitely third. If we're having to rank
that's not bad third, but it's third. So
yeah. But then again, I don't want to rank them because
they're third.
Well, I suppose if you want to rank them, but Doctor Who is so unique that it's just like, it's not like saying which episode of like this serialized, season of drama was your favorite. It's like, which happened in this episode again? That one's my favorite, because they blur together. Doctor Who is such a unique beast. It's like try to compare the Star Beast to Wild Blue Yonder to this. It's like, well,
yeah, fair enough. Yes. But I really like Wild Blue Yonder, above and beyond the other ones. I just like to call out in a good way, Madman 22 in the commentary, who says, still makes more sense than the bloody looms. You are absolutely right, Madman 22.
That's true. That is true. There we go. Yeah. Thanks for because Warren hates the looms.
That's just a stupid idea.
Have you even read Lung Barrel?
No, I won't refuse because the idea is dumb. It's like I'll never watch the Star Trek musical episode. Yeah. I'll never see all Star Trek for that very reason.
Yeah, and just to bring up because I've just discovered how to put comments on the screen. No, Steve. Steve Manford asked, when was that orchestra concert and was Tennant there for it? Tennant was not there for it. At least he certainly wasn't appear. I don't think anybody ever said that he was there because a lot of people were saying because he didn't show up in the press images or anything. I know McCoy and Colin Baker were there. I think it was October 15th. That's the date that jumps out at me. Is when that was, but I could be wrong about that. So he wasn't October 10th. I know Russell T Davies was there, obviously, but. So I don't think Tennant was there for the concert, even though it was mentioned in the commentary. So what was he there for? Was he shooting more? Was there a new Doctor Who season of just Tennant's Doctor just kicking around having vegan hot pot in the cast iron one, or is it the other one?
If there's going to be a new unit spinoff, which seems probably fairly likely, then there's nothing saying they shoot a bunch of cameos, like 2 or 3 hours worth, and then they pepper him through that season as their scientific advisor who's just sitting in a room doing his scientific advising, just having an office job and very much being a goofball about it.
Even Peter Capaldi had to be in class.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, really? When it finally came to it, it's like, why are you here, Peter Capaldi?
So maybe,
yeah.
And I know it won't happen because if it was going to happen, RTD would have said nothing in the commentary. But we could have his other ideas in this unit spinoff of Arcturus sitting there in the background, or
David Tennant calls him out. What's the name of that box? Arcturus, wasn't it? Yeah,
that was
David
great.
Tennant's all up on the curse of Peloton.
As an Arcturus stand,
or Stephen Taylor there inside faking that he's a cow.
A cow,
sitting at a desk.
That seems like something, dumb.
Go watch the Envision commentary if you have access to it. It was a blast. It was a blast. Tennant, RTD, and Phil Collinson. So to go back to the bi-generation then, Warren's okay with it just because, but he's more annoyed that Reddit got to it first.
Yep.
Chris, did we ever actually get your opinion on what the bi-generation?
I went on for like 3 minutes about it. Yes.
Okay, I just want a summing comment, that sort of thing.
Yes, I thought
to put a bow on it.
From a plot perspective, I thought it worked a lot better than I thought it feared that it could have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What else? Oh, I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. You know what? Honestly, as these things go along, I'm imagining how many of a certain sector of fandom will be annoyed with something, and that makes me even happier.
True.
Like, before we move away from the bi-generation,
sure.
I suppose it's relevant that we mention. As we learned from let's not say their name. As we learned from a friend who had screener access to this episode.
Thank you. Yeah.
38 minutes of the episode went out in the screener. 23 minutes were absent.
Yep. It ended right after the Spices Your Life bit.
Exactly.
That's where it ended. Yep, it's gone. So the little door closed, bam, bam, with the little horn, which I love, the little sound effect. That was the end of the screener. And then so the rest of it was mystery. So, which is a lot of the episode that you miss. If you're a press screener trying to write your review on that, but
feel bad for people who had to do that stuff in advance.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what else do you want to talk about when it comes to annoying people? It was a tiny bit on the nose when, it would have been nice. It was nice seeing Ruth Medley tear up when she's talking about
the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There's now a wheelchair ramp to get into the TARDIS. It was just a quick little thing that folds down. I think that's perfect. And, but they said, oh yeah, look at this, wheelchair accessible. And finally you caught up with the 21st century. It's like, okay. I think it would have been a more emotional moment to sort of for the Doctor just to lean down and do it like he did, and then looked over at Ruth and have it be affecting her as opposed to just cynicism in there. I don't know.
What bugged me is that they make a big show of that, and then he closes the door and he doesn't let her in. I'm like, come on, at least let her look at it, for God's sake, come on.
She doesn't even let her in. He's gone.
Here it is.
Exactly.
Look what a great guy I am. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to close the door on you.
Yeah,
come on in.
The least that could have happened was he could have gestured for her to go in, because as I brought up 2 weeks ago for the Starbeast thing, it's all ramps. It's all she can do her
She
thing.
will go in there sometime in the new season, I'm sure.
But tying back to something you said earlier, Warren, that's another thing that Ncuti Gatwa does not have the first opportunity to do. He doesn't get the debut of the TARDIS console room. He doesn't get he probably got a new Sonic, the new thing. It would have been great if he had been the one to actually put the ramp down so Shirley could go in there when she's going in there, as opposed to going there, but you can't go in. You got to wait till spring of 2024 to go in. Why do it then? Why not let Ncuti have that moment, and why not have her that moment? To go in there instead of saying you could go in here, but you can't.
But you don't spend that much money on a unit set and not use it in the series. So
as Phil Collins
she will be back.
It will be that.
All of them will
for
be.
Unit HQ, he said it's very expensive. But I mean, Ncuti was the one who grabbed the Toymaker's hammer and made the TARDIS clone. So. He's got his role in it, I guess.
I guess so, but
I don't know.
That was his gift to Tennant, I guess, to 14.
So as far as the diminishment of Gatwa's debut goes, if the bigeneration wasn't that, if it was a standard regeneration,
right,
and 2/3 of the way through the story, Tennant's just gone. That's it. He's gone. He's out. That's it. There's Gatwa there, front and center, fighting the Toymaker.
Yeah.
Then you'd have enough people on the other side up in arms that this was not the departure that Tennant should have had.
That would be short shrift for Tennant as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I did laugh because when he says Allons-y, and he thinks it's going to be his last line.
That was great. And that wouldn't have been a bad one, to be honest with you.
It would have been a delightfully obvious one, and then it wasn't, which is kind of funny because, but also, we only had him for 3 weeks. It's tough to build up and and then I'm going to it's tough for him to do another End of Time, essentially. How do you do a big emotional regeneration speech when we know he's only there for 3 weeks?
One of the theories you had, Stephen, or rumors you had been told or whatever, once upon a time was that it was going to be over 3 successive nights.
Yeah. Over American Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Imagine the lessening of Tennant's impact.
Kind of glad it wasn't.
With 3 nights versus even 3 Saturdays.
Yeah. Yeah. I got what I got wrong was the impact, I suppose, of Tennant and the impact of what BBC wanted to do with the show. I thought more of it for the Disney Plus angle. They want to get to Ncuti Gatwa. And when Ncuti Gatwa is there in spring of 2024, that's when the Disney push will begin. Right now, we're just it's on there. It's showing up in the little tiles precisely at 11:30 local time and not a second before on Disney Plus. But
stupid.
It is odd. It is odd that they were treated as 3 separate specials and not like Doctor Who, and then you could just hit.
Part of it is it's Christmas too. Disney has a whole lot of Christmas stuff of its own. It's got to worry about. This is not an afterthought, but it's a side hustle.
It's not the top of their priority list.
Yeah, but the Tennant specials being there felt like more like it's being brought back to the BBC, and Disney is a partner in it. But I think come spring, I think it'll feel a little more like Disney's leading the charge on this more than
you're probably right.
I know.
There's nuts going on too.
Yeah, because RTD is a consummate showman, and he will definitely beat the drum for the BBC. But I feel like Disney Plus will match him in the.
I think you're right. I think it's just strategically, especially with 8 episodes, they got more to show off there. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And nothing to explain. RTD is specifically making this so you can just walk in and watch it no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we mention Trinity Wells on air?
Not yet.
No, we didn't.
That
Trinity
got the
Wells
biggest laugh for me of the whole thing. When she shows up and she's an insane YouTuber, I just bent over laughing. I was like, that's awesome. That is great that she just, becomes J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man. He's a crazy maniac with a web show.
I couldn't remember for certain, so I looked it up, and this is Trinity Wells' first appearance since the end of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, she
wasn't Clark. What's her name again? Lachelle somebody. I can't remember her last name.
I mean, good for the actress for just doing that. Just saying, what the hell? Put in a 10-second cameo where I'm a crazy person.
On a
Why not?
Screen and fair enough.
Yeah, but the whole anti-vax.
I'm an anti whatever.
Like an Owen or something like that. Yeah.
Man, that made me guffaw.
Yeah, it was.
It was not my biggest laugh of the thing. Warren. For me, that was on the helipad when Shirley first comes out and the doctor says to her, "Surely you can't be serious."
Oh, boo! Come on,
I missed that one.
It's not Airplane, for God's sakes.
Damn right, it's a joke from Airplane, but yes,
I did like. And I was also, this is a little too on the nose at the same time, about how, everybody's angry and they always have to be right. And I'm like, I know exactly what you're doing here. I kind of shiftily admire it, RTD, but also at the same time, okay, that's a little too on the nose, but it's also really funny that you're doing that. So.
I mean, it's on the nose for, people who,
I can't blame him for doing it.
Humorless liberals like ourselves who will laugh along at that, but sometimes the general public will get that, won't necessarily be as keyed into that.
That's true.
I like that it gets hammered over their head too.
I mean, I mostly laughed at it. I was like 3/4, haha, that's great, and 1/4, all right, I kind of get it. But
yeah. Chris, you had a whole bunch of notes. Do you want to defer to the notes as talking points from now on, or do you got other stuff you want to say, Warren?
No, I think I'm good. If Chris wants to go with his notes.
Yeah, I can bust those out. So the first time I watched it, I didn't notice it, but I did the second time. So when the Toymaker's in the shop at the start talking to the customer about the Stooky Bill doll, he whistles the arpeggio.
Yeah.
It's shown 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times in that cold open. Completely passed me by the first time, but I also didn't know that it was a thing
that we were looking for.
Yeah. And second view, I'm like, oh, yeah, neat. Yep. Surely you can't be serious. That's number 2 on my list.
Totally missed that. I totally missed that one. Wow.
Because I'm not Dr. Cheap Laughs like Chris over here.
It's not specifically on my notes, but I'm gonna jump around to it. So I watched this with subtitles on because that's just for whatever reason. I guess I set for the default for just Disney Plus, but so I caught it mostly because of the subtitles. But as a few people have brought up in the live stream chat, and as we were going to talk about anyway. I don't know if it happened on the BBC. I get the impression from people in the chat that it did not. But the Tennant's doctor, consistently was called when after the bigeneration, I should say.
Yep.
The Tennant doctor was always called the 10th Doctor.
Yeah.
In the subtitles.
Yeah, that was weird.
And so I'm sure it was just a mistake.
The BBC
copy paste.
The BBC version had the Doctor for Tennant's doctor and New Doctor for Ncuti Gatwa.
Interesting.
Entirely different.
I mean, this could have been farmed out from Disney to some other firm, and the person doing it was only familiar with him as a 10th Doctor, so they could have just gotten it wrong, right?
Yeah, that could have been it.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, just copy paste. Like 10th Doctor just down the line.
Exactly.
But that,
or they're supposed to type 14th and they're just so used to 10.
Yeah.
But the first
or
time
maybe they didn't know. Maybe they listen when they're
know.
captioning this. Maybe they just say, "Oh, it's the 10th Doctor. This is pretty cool." Okay, I know. You know,
who knows what the context was for that?
Who knows?
The first time I saw it, I had to do a double take, and then it was just every single time after that. I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
that's just odd."
I know. Yeah, I checked the BBC version because I skimmed right to the regeneration.
Of course,
so I'm looking.
If you're going to check
even
credits,
watching
the
show, exactly right. I'm just checking, reading the. Nope, next don't. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So there's the answer to that, or an answer, or a slight clarification, I guess. So
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first redhead companion was not Mel; it was Liz.
That's true. That's a very good point.
Had Turlo in between as well.
Also good. Also good point.
That's true too. Yeah. Wow. That's Liz Erasure. That is. That's bad. I didn't know she was redheaded.
Thought you knew your Doctor Who history there, RTD. Time for a little.
On the Envision, he's pretty good about it. Here. I got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know. Actually, the Doctor never wants to. Actually, I think you'll remember that. I saw the the amusing GIF, the amusing image of the girlfriend looking awry at the boyfriend who's looking at that one, and it said Katerina and Sarah looking at the Doctor, and Adrix is the autofocus one walking the other way because
nice.
Where's their parade? Katerina and Sarah were there for a grand total of 5 episodes each.
5 seconds each.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed the whole anti thing with Trinity Wells.
That was hilarious.
That made me laugh.
Yeah. There's some awful stuff that Kate Stewart said. Actually,
but then she's really good at acting out how she realizes that after she knows she's going to do it going in, and she's also feels terrible anyway.
That was a good performance on her part.
It was phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
That was a terrifying moment, actually, in a way. Yeah, it's kind of like, did no one think to maybe she's going to take the thing off her arm? It's like I hope she doesn't snap it or crush it or something like that. Or
but I thought she did a great job of a very delicate bit of acting there.
And one person I know who is confined to a wheelchair even expressed admiration that in the Kate Stewart thing when she didn't have her Zedex on, calling out to the whole "but you can walk" thing, saying that was a big thing for visibility for disabilities.
Yeah, and even Ruth got out of her chair briefly in this episode too, as I saw, just like when she crossed her leg in the Star Beach, just to hammer that point home. She uses it. She doesn't, require it. More or less.
As far as the whole Korean satellite thing goes, Lethbridge Stewart mentions that all the world leaders are being affected by the Giggle. They can't make any decisions, whatever. So the Doctor's like, "You have my permission." So I'm assuming he's acting in the role of president of the world.
I think so. Yeah. Also, I love Donna going, "What's changed, really?"
Yeah, I know.
That was great.
They gotta just use file footage of Boris Johnson. Honestly,
I mean, that was what I think they were getting at. It looked like they're semi-parodying Boris Johnson.
He was in the realm of Boris Johnson.
Having watched Years and Years, this doesn't strike me as all that different.
Yeah.
Just part of that woke left agenda, Warren.
But the thing is, what I like about this is that it wasn't by any means subtle, but it was more RTD. It's got more water under the bridge. So something like the Archangel Network was just kind of, that's kind of stupid, right? Yeah. Whereas this is like, actually, there's some satire and thought behind this a little bit more. There's a little more, I don't know, gravitas isn't the right word, but it's not even thoughtfulness. Just there's more to it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There's a maturity to it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
His subversiveness. Yeah. Yeah. What do you got there, Chris? What next?
I looked it up. W1D4RF is a real postcode in London, 4 Frith Street in Soho.
Nice.
And apparently on that block is something called the UK Chinese Chamber of Commerce, which I'm sure has nothing to do with the original Toymaker.
I hope so.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a curious address to choose.
Yep.
Oh, well, here we are.
Okay. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know what to think about that.
Moving on. When the Doctor and Donna are talking about Mel, and the Doctor not talking about anyone ever, just charging on. I like how that foreshadowed the end.
That's true. Should have mentioned it in the previous episode too, didn't she? About you just keep barreling on without talking about things. Yeah,
I think she did.
It was a little more not obvious here, a little more relevant here, perhaps. Also, I hadn't realized until I saw that I mentioned on the commentary that in that scene when they're walking down the little passageway there, the crowd of people who'd gathered for watching the recording was just the other side of the TARDIS, and some or enough people overheard the dialogue between the Doctor and Donna and realized that Mel's back. But I don't, maybe I just wasn't looking the right circles at the time, but that never crossed my desk, as it were.
No, know what I mean? No,
not me either.
Yeah, I do remember seeing the public footage of the chaos scene where the Doctor and MPH dance a little bit, and they actually released a photo of that day. They had an official photo of Tennant standing with Neil Patrick Harris when they launched that, and I think even people saw like the Toymaker seal on the Mr. Emporium
sign. I remember seeing that floating around for a while.
Right,
which
then
is not barely in the show. Like,
yeah. And I don't even remember seeing it in the show, but
it
was
is there.
Apparently.
I did notice as they're going in the shop, but it's just there as an afterthought, right?
Yeah, I forget specifically where it was, but I was a little surprised to see Tennant actually say the word celestial.
It was curious. They were sort of because celestial does mean
from the stars.
From the stars, but it also has a very antiquated and racist history in describing Chinese people.
Which RTD gets into, like, so RTD, Phil Collinson, and David Tennant are not that dissimilar in age. Obviously, they grew up in completely different places, Scotland, north of England, Wales, whatever. But him having to explain that connotation of celestial to them and them not realizing that it was that.
And he said in this interview that he didn't know until recently that was. I'm like, that seems surprising, but okay.
I know. Well, it is. I remember in that other bastion of racial equality, the Talons of Wang Chiang that mentioned.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But it does mean from the stars, which I think because the Celestial Toymaker is iffy, but the first episode is called the Celestial Toy Room, and that part leads me to think maybe they thought that. But of course, then the costume designer says, "Oh, why don't we just use this stock outfit that Mark Eden wore in Marco Polo and dress him like a Chinese person?"
Nobody said no to that, so there's that.
Nobody said no, so just it just eliminates all doubt to see where the two, and not thinking that was a problem, of course.
This would have been, if not concurrent, at least damn close to when Troughton wanted to do the second Doctor in blackface.
We dodged so many bullets, let me tell you, in Doctor Who history.
We would not be talking about this show right now if he did.
Well, absolutely not. No. But you're right, Stephen. Many bullets have been dodged, despite the ones that have, kind of winged the odd shoulder here and there.
There have been some flesh wounds over the years. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Anyway. Will the gold tooth have been picked up by Mystery Fusus as well?
Oh my God! Oh no!
I've seen Kremlinology of that's Kate Stewart picking up the tooth because she also had red fingernails, red nail polish. Yeah, but.
I hope so. Apparently, she's standing literally right on the edge of the helipad. That's like she's like teetering. She's like hanging off. Because that's like the pan down to it. It's like literally the edge of. Did you hear the laughter, by the way? Did you hear the various different masters laugh?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I'd like to think for some reason it's Missy doing it. I'd no idea how or why.
Yeah.
But
I recognize Ainley because I replicate the Ainley laugh whenever the Calgary Flames are doing bad in a hockey game. I get that same Machiavellian sense of.
Is that the one that's in Utopia? I think it is. What a version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be that. It's the one when he discovers the Seventh Doctor is face down in a rubbish tip after that motorbike crash in Survival. That's the one.
I also saw people saying that was Lucy Saxon. I'm like, it damn well better not be Lucy Saxon.
I mean,
there. I just want to point out there are. I'll bring one up on there. There is one comment. I thought it was the Duchess's hand at the end, which is the character played by Indira Varma coming up in the next season.
Okay.
Conversely, also, Michael says it's probably Jinx Monsoon could be hers, who's also going to be in Ncuti Gatwa's first season. So,
is Indira Varma's character known to be linked to units, or?
I don't know who's going to be, who is there to pick.
Oh, we got a hand to go off of. It's not, you know what it is? I don't know what the hell the deal is with this gold tooth, but at least it's not potions. That's what I thought initially. I'm like, I don't care how stupid this is. It'll never be as stupid as potions.
Don't know that yet. It could still be.
No. Nothing will ever be as dumb as potions.
What's the dental equivalent to potions?
Well, probably this tooth, but it still won't be that dumb because potions are the dumbest.
The fact that the Toymaker had like 80 teeth when they did a close up of his mouth, which is weird to me. I don't know why he had so many.
And also, is that the master he's talking about? I believe Erica in the chat said that that could be the master of the land of fiction. It doesn't necessarily have to be that master.
No,
it could be
the
his
fact
master.
that it was the fact that it was he was ainly laughing.
Yeah, probably. You're right. You're probably right.
Yeah, I completely missed it. I completely missed the laughter thing. But no, with knowing about that, there's no way it's not.
No.
We got here doing rehab out of order. I already talked about that.
Yeah. Also, just to go on the master thing, one more thing. Why couldn't the master bigenerate? We could have an old master show up and a new one shows up out of them, and then you got two of them. There's no reason why he won't redo this with another time lord.
That's true. I hope they don't go too crazy. I don't want.
I do too, but I'm just saying it's a possibility now.
Maybe there's multiple Draxes out there. Maybe our dream comes true and there's multiple Draxes.
If only.
Right?
I've pined for this day. The Infinite Drax episode.
Everyone go watch the Armageddon Factor. It's underrated. I love it.
I agree.
Now I'm just envisioning all the Baruses having bigenerated as well.
Oh, it's a lot of Baruses.
It's a lot of Baruses. This is also supposed to be something that was as Gatwa says, as Gatwa says, myth. So it's talking about it being rampant is
silly. I'm just guessing silly. A few hours after we saw this. So I mean, typical.
Yeah.
Rose got handy, Donna got 14, Martha got nothing.
Yeah, Martha gets shortchanged yet again.
Yep.
Yeah.
She got Mickey. And
no one wants that anymore.
Also, just to go back to the puppets, I thought that particular sequence was great in that they showed how all those companions got shortchanged through a bunch of puppets, which was kind of cool.
Marionettes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Operated by Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah.
I love Neil Patrick Harris's expression when he talks about Clara. He's like, she got killed by a bird.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he goes into the British voice about how bad that is. Like for each one of those, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, and the doctor kind of backpedaling. She died of old age, and she's still alive in her last moment, and her consciousness survives. And
which is a good way of like explaining it to viewers. And also, how ridiculous is this show? But no, she died of old age. Oh, she's still alive at the last breath of her life. She's a consciousness in the universe.
And meanwhile, the Disney viewers are like, "What the hell are they talking about?" And fair enough, frankly.
Yeah, but I wonder how new viewers. I don't know if there are any watching this. Probably not. I don't think any new viewers of Doctor Who are tuning into a live stream on a Saturday night about it.
True.
But I'm curious to see what new fans would thought about how, if any of that just like they accepted as just part of Doctor Who lore, because the great thing about Doctor Who is sometimes they'll throw in stuff that we've never heard about. We watch the shows, for 40 years, and it's not happened in any media. It's just a new thing that he just sort of throws in, which I like. I like when that happens because I feel
that was the Time War originally, right?
The Time War originally was like that. Exactly. Yeah, it was a great entry point. Yeah.
Yeah, and back when we thought, they'll never actually show or do anything about the Time War, that'd take too many resources.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I'm glad that things are different for the Doctor for the day-to-day stuff versus the Power of Three. So in the Power of Three, they're waiting for the cubes, and the Doctor's like just bored stupid, and only Matt Smith could do that performance.
But he was great.
But the whole day-to-day it was months, if memory serves. I forget how many, but I think it was months.
Well, it was months. Well, the Doctor wasn't there for the whole of it. He was bored after an hour after he juggled a football and he painted a fence.
Mowing, I believe.
Vacuuming is what he did. And I took about
and played the Wii. Don't forget the Wii.
That's right. He was playing the Wii later on too. So,
but in this case, it's not like Matt Smith's Doctor didn't have his TARDIS back then, because he did. Yeah. But in this case, not only do we know that Tennant's Doctor still has a TARDIS, we already know that he's done some side trips to New York and Mars. And,
well, of course he did, though.
And whatever else. So
yeah.
So as far as him surviving that experience is concerned, he'll do a lot better than Matt Smith would have done
Oh yeah,
with not leaving.
Well, I mean, that's anywhere. The whole point of him. The 14th Doctor's settling down thing.
Yeah, I love the images. The image of the guy standing behind a tree, rubbing his hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that Big Finish tweeted out as if we got stories for years now. Thank you very much, Russell T Davies.
One remark from I don't know if you want to pull this up for the thing, Stephen, but from Michael Wilson. I kind of read it that the bigeneration only happened because the Toymaker's presence was allowing myths to become real.
That's fair.
I did not consider that, and I like
a good one.
That makes sense because that keeps that actually is RTD putting the brakes on his own thing, which is good.
Yeah, that kind of almost ties in with my wackadoo theory about the original Celestial Toymaker episode, sort of being a thing where they could split off because it exists in this weird land, and like that's why you can make him disappear and stuff. And, obviously, you can do something to the Doctor to make him all crazy like that. Maybe that's where the regeneration. Maybe that's where his body really starts to wear thin. Is the Toymaker when he comes back? The
Toymaker goes up to him and says, "Don't you think he looks tired?"
Don't you? That's exactly
to Hartnell.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I break it to just talk about the puppets? The puppets were creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
especially the big tall
Stefan Powell thought so as well.
Yeah, and I love that there's not a single bit of CGI. I'm just saying that because I know people who get
except for wiping out the puppets.
I know. That's people who actually work at CG or get really annoyed by people who say, "No, we just did all practical effects on this one." There's a great YouTube series that only has one episode so far about movies that supposedly are all practical effects, and there's so much CG in them that you just don't notice. But I love that all the puppets are actual. Like there's 3 or 4 people in black suits operating the puppets on the floor, and they just sort of paint all the people out. But like the mouth movement, the eyes movement are all practical, and that's fascinating. And the tangible quality to them is what makes it. If it was the CG, I like it.
There'd be something to be just a little bit off, just a tiny touch off. Like you can do some great CG, which I think we're going to see when we get to the Ruby Road stuff, because that can't all be puppets.
but there's a lot of puppets in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of puppets in the Church of Ruby Road.
Watching. Here's the YouTube one or Unleashed, which one or the other anyway. When they were talking to the main puppeteer dude, Kat was like, "Oh, I hope they get him for Galley. I'd love to interview him."
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, there we go.
Interesting.
Just one thing about Unleashed that I liked is how he would do his little job training thing with the previous 2 episodes, and I kind of love that. I'm like, oh, I know who this crew person is now, and this crew person, I'm actually familiar with what they do. That's kind of cool. Yeah. You see them in the background, you're like, oh, that's that person you talked to, as opposed to just being random background people.
Yeah, no, yeah. At first, I was kind of annoyed by Stefan Powell's antics a little bit, but actually, him talking to the people who do like the jobs that we never
and all junior level stuff too. That you normally just get glossed over because people care about the star and maybe the director, right? So we get to talk about the camera trainee or the secondary sound person. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool that they actually get some recognition.
Yeah, there was a. We didn't mention this in the news list because it just came out this week, but there's a short video on YouTube on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, now introduced by Ncuti Gatwa. So the
most important role he'll ever have.
There was one on David Tennant's stand-in during Wild Beyonder. Not the double, during the scenes, the stand-in where he goes and he stands there so they can set up the lighting and the shots and everything because they have to have someone who's like the same hair and the same clothes. And I think, what a fascinating 3.5 to 4 minutes of this person's life. He's like talking to some of the people too. Just like, it was like fascinating. It was
different from the guy who did the crab walk thing. And
yeah. It was just, it wasn't actually, he was never actually appeared anywhere on screen. He was just there to help them set up the set and the lighting and stuff. And that's as important a role because you don't want to have like David Tennant standing there when he's, it was, I want to mention that and the puppets. Very good. Very good stuff to learn about these puppets and everything. So
totally.
Yeah.
Where am I here? All right. Donna figures that the Doctor has this face again so he could, quote, come home, that it was to find her. Does that mean that if he had a different face, Donna wouldn't have made the same offer?
Maybe not. Donna wouldn't have known.
This would have happened eventually. Maybe not a couple more Doctors down the road, maybe, right? So theoretically, obviously it happens now for the reasons that RTD is in charge, but and 60th. But in the story, it could have been 3 or 4 Doctors down the road that happens. Eventually it would happen.
I mean, it's the same. It's the Doctor's the same person, obviously, but obviously their personalities change with each generation. So to have Jodie Whittaker come and settle down with the Noble clan, it would be, I don't know, the vibe would be different, so to speak.
She'd be super awkward. It'd be great.
It'd be very strange.
She should just show up now that Tennant, the 14 is there. 13 should just show up and go, "Hey, how's it going?" Just to make a real nuisance of herself.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what.
Do you know her? What's going on? Oh, that's previous.
Mel just walked in. She's like, I saw the doors open or whatever it was. She said,
"Crazy Auntie Mel." Yeah,
I do love the rankings.
Like thirsty Auntie Mel.
Yeah,
and I also love how what's her name? I can never remember her name. Donna's mom,
Sylvia,
yes. Yeah. I love that she just has now embraced the role of this cruel stepmom, and she's a much nicer person than she was in the original show. Like, and that's kind of nice to see.
I haven't even started yet, is what she said. Yeah,
but she says it with some humor, as opposed to before we'd have been like, and turn left.
Yeah,
even in Starbase she clocks someone. So
true. Yeah, well, I had it coming.
He did have a comment, actually. Yeah. Here we go again.
One of Ncuti Gatwa's first acts as the Doctor was to try to leave without saying goodbye. Very doctorish.
That is very. I did like their little salute. I thought that was really great.
That was nice.
Yeah. I like the cutting back, actually. I think Channing Button did a good job of like boom, 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 boom. Like we got both the reactions, like cut, boom, 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 like the salute and everything in his underpants.
Have we mentioned that amazing camera move when the bigeneration was happening over top of them? That was pretty good.
The computer controlled camera move that went over, and then they did it again for. Yeah, I know.
Also, the bigeneration could have looked a lot dumber than it did. It looked a little tiny bit dumb, but not anywhere near as stupid as it could have.
Yeah.
What did RTD say? Some of the efforts looked too fluid or too
comical, really.
Like, I can imagine videotape.
A couple of adjectives you threw out there.
It would have been the keeper trucking, basically. Rip.
Yeah, exactly. Which just
except
like
reversed,
like the end of Ledger Hive, where it's just like they just sort of like slide those,
which has its own stinky charm, but it's not quite the same thing in 2023.
Yeah, they would like wibble wobbled out like they're an amoeba or something, like adipose, like separating from their host or something in Partners in Crime or something. It would have looked kind of silly, but yeah, it was a fun moment.
With the Doctor saying with Donna and having a quote family and whatnot, it made me wonder if this is some sort of metaphorical death of the 14th Doctor.
Yeah,
like if you think of like Greek mythology with the Elysian Fields, where after your hero dies, he goes there and But I'm sure
the
it's
Grey
not.
Havens in a way, like the hobbits, and I don't know about your Greek mythology. All right, I know about the Lord of the Rings movie,
but it would be very
Chris?
Doctor Who that the Grey Havens is somewhere in Chiswick. Like, where they're having dinner out in the yard.
Just like somewhere off.
That's very much a Doctor Who thing.
Yeah. Is that it there, Chris?
One last thing I have on my notes here. So RTD mentions that galvanic radiation, which is what the galvanic beam shoots, was on the planet Midnight.
Yeah,
outside of the bus.
And that was a real scientific, completely made up, is what he said.
I like RTD's way of putting that. Yeah.
The word galvanize means to kind of spur somebody into action as well. Yep. So that's kind of what happens with the Doctor. He's galvanic beam, and there's Ncuti, and then boom, climax. Yep.
Now I've got the Chemical Brothers galvanized in my head. So thank you, actually, Chris. I like that song.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we talked this out. I mean, I still. There are elements of it that kind of annoy me, but I think I appreciate it a lot more. I think I appreciate it a lot more than we've talked about it a little bit. And it's great Doctor Who, and it's still something that I'd rather watch more than pretty much anything on TV. And it was, I look forward to Ncuti Gatwa, and I enjoyed David Tennant's time. You know what? Honestly, I think I enjoyed David Tennant being all over the behind the scenes stuff. I think he's kind of the modern era's, like I always thought the Peter Davison was the Jimmy Carter of Doctor Who's, because he's the best former Doctor Who, but I think David Tennant might have that now because he's just everywhere. He's such a great ambassador for the show, both on screen and off.
Yeah,
I'm going to miss that enthusiasm.
I saw something on YouTube today or yesterday from, I forget how long ago it was, a video of Peter Davison eating yogurt. So I mean, like. You never know, right?
Oh, get off YouTube.
Except this, of course, you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I'll say, Stephen, is I think so we're 16 days away from the Christmas episode.
As of recording, yeah.
As we record this. So we've watched these 3, we'll watch the Christmas one, and then we've got until April,
somewhere in there,
somewhere in there,
probably
sometime
April,
in this
probably
right.
April. Yeah.
Before we see more of Gatwa. So between December and the spring, when you've watched the specials in the Christmas and Ruby Road,
right,
a few times, I'm far less interested in anybody's opinion now versus.
Yeah, that's a good
3
point.
or 4 months from now, after this has all had time to settle in,
see a
little more context with Gatwa's first proper episode.
Yeah. Especially when, I mean, there's never been this long of a gap between making a show and putting it on. You know, like they shot this in the summer of 2022.
Yeah, they keep saying that in the behind the scenes stuff, and it keeps blowing my mind.
Yeah.
This is a year ago. This happened,
and it's it's like, you don't know how the public is reacting to it when you're making it, which is kind of a great little bubble. It's you're making the show that you want to make, and you're not responding to feedback or anything like that while you're making a show. And honestly, like there'll be a good chunk in the way of making Ncuti Gatwa's second season by the time the first one even goes out. So they'll be making their entire show in a bubble, essentially. And so I'm curious, because what the reaction is now is probably not going to affect much when it comes to what's actually going to be on screen for the next couple of years, which is good. I like that. I like it when shows adhere to a vision and don't necessarily, throw in memes or some other stuff that's that was propped up through fandom, This
reminds me of an article I sent you, actually, Stephen, a few days ago, where they're talking about what 20 years ago Battlestar Galactica came back, and before it did, Ron Moore took questions from a Galactica con, and somebody asked the fan, "Are you going to take input from fans?" And he just said, "No." And he didn't.
Brilliant.
At all. It's like, yeah, good. You shouldn't. Don't take. We can blab about this all day. I don't expect RTD to listen to me. Why would he?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Why would he? Why would he listen to anybody?
Yeah.
He shouldn't.
He's in charge of the show. He's not in charge of listening to idiots like us.
I mean, regardless of what I as a viewer think of his writing or whatever, he's still a very capable, proficient writer.
He's the one making
producer.
it. Yeah. He's the guy BBC said, "You're doing it."
So people like me, screw them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically you.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've officially talked well over the duration of the actual episode, which is our completely set in stone edict on the show. Is there anything else you want to mention about the Giggle for this week? We might bring it up later again, but if you want to speak now or forever hold your peace until next week. No, we're good. Okay. No.
I mean, you mentioned the one shop, but any thoughts on Shiny Button's efforts in general?
You know what? So there's a bunch of things that happen. There's your Unleashed, there's your behind the scenes, there's your in-vision commentary.
And she was nowhere to be seen in all that.
No, and there was the official Doctor Who podcast. But there was this weird thing that we talked about weeks ago.
Sometime in October.
The BBC was putting a call out or something, and this is before we even knew when these episodes were going to air, because we sort of zapruded this because it said, "Hey, come to a special screening of the third David Tennant special." It just happens to be on December 9th, which was today, as we record this, and then I kind of forgot about it. Forgot all about it. And then, Chris, you sent me a link. It was on the BBC YouTube channel, because it was something to do with Doctor Who presented by Toshiba TV.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was up on their YouTube channel, and it was on as a live stream and Toshiba's Twitch TV thing. And it was Terrell. I can't remember his last name. Terrell, one of the 3 hosts of the Doctor Who podcast.
Just call him T.
And who is doing the new to Doctor Who stuff on the YouTube channel as well. And he was interviewing Channy Button. Channy Button was there. And
pardon me for forgetting the names. So Channy Button was there.
Yeah.
The director of Millennium Effects, the set decorator, designer, whatever,
right,
and the costume designer.
Right. All four were there, and there was like, I don't know, an hour or so, and you can't find it. It does not exist. I have it open on a tab. I've rewound it back on the live stream to where it began because it doesn't show up as a recording. It doesn't show up on the Doctor Who YouTube channel. Yeah. It doesn't show up at the Toshiba Twitch. It showed that it happened on the Toshiba Twitch one.
It's like a Mission Impossible briefcase is what it is.
It really is. And so like, it's celebrating the 60th anniversary. Doctor Who like created a missing episode. It's like we can't watch it anymore. Like I hope somebody like took on-screen grabs or screen grabs.
I'd close the tab. If I go back in my history to reopen the tab, then it's just like, oh, this live stream isn't available.
It's gone. So I'm hanging on to this. I hope it's still there. If it's still there. If I hit play, I'm not gonna hit play. But I'm gonna hit play. I'm gonna hit play just to make sure. Okay, it's working. So I can watch it. I can still watch it. No, it ended. It just ended just as I saw it. Thanks for tuning in.
Is this the after show of the 60th anniversary?
Maybe it is. It's gone forever. I would have liked to watch it because Shandy Button had some interesting things to say about it.
I wonder if on Toshiba TVs it isn't gone. Maybe it's only on Toshiba TVs now, which seems like
no, it's gone. On Twitch, it's gone. It's gone.
No, but like if you had a Toshiba television with a certain app or something.
I got to go to Costco to buy a
TV app.
Everyone buy a Toshiba TV.
Why do you want this? Shut up.
Shut up. You just bought another TV. I want a Toshiba one. Do you have a specific Toshiba TV? I don't know.
Toshiba TV is the name of the service, I believe.
I know. I'm just...
Yeah. So that one's lost to time. Forever gone.
I bet you it shows up in a week. I bet you they just
maybe it didn't. Yeah.
They could put it back on and just say here's your hour long or whatever it was, and boom.
I hope so. All right. So we talked about Giggle behind the scenes, a whole bunch of stuff. It's funny, actually. It was just on YouTube right after the episode aired, but like they had like a special thing on the BBC website, like programming website for the trailer for the church on Ruby Road, and we saw it. There's
great. Yes,
the Doctor dancing in a skirt or a kilt with a tank top in a club, and that's where he meets
Ruby Sunday.
Ruby Sunday. And she's down at the TARDIS. She's like hanging off a balloon. There's goblins.
Yep.
All sorts of things.
And now, and as I said earlier, now that we know they're pirate goblins, there better be one called Edward and one called Steed.
Come on, we want crossover fanwag. Speaking of fanwag, one of the best things about Star Wars is their devotion to the weird little guy. There's always a weird little guy in Star Wars, and this looks like it has so many weird little guys. So I think I'm gonna like it for that reason alone. I'm a big fan of weird little guys.
Yeah,
you're looking for like a Babu Frick kind of goblin.
Yeah, exactly. Babu Frick is just the latest example. There are so many different ones, like Jawas or that too. Like, take your pick. But
Yoda.
But these guys, Yoda, exactly. Just the weird little guy phenomenon is what kept Star Wars. If nothing else, Baby Yoda, exactly. Steven's insane love for Baby Yoda.
I love Baby Yoda.
It's because of the weird little guy thing, the weird little guy imperative, and I think we've embraced the time of the weird little guy in Doctor Who, and I'm all here for it.
The legend of the Gonk droid.
Well, we're embracing the weird little guy, and we're embracing the TikTok dance sequence.
I couldn't care less about that, but if it's in there and it keeps people happy, fine. Whatever.
Everyone watched Wednesday because of it, and there's another show that did it, so maybe they're hoping that we get Ncuti Gatwa going on a TikTok dance sequence, and we can get TikTok going on Doctor Who.
I just crapped on musical numbers and say Star Trek, etc., and I stand by that. But if it's just the goblins singing, fine, whatever. Then it's more like a cartoon, which I can handle. But if it's a full musical episode,
we're gonna find out on Monday, I guess.
Yeah. So on Monday, December 11th, the Goblin song, a few snippets of seconds of which we could hear at the very end of Doctor Who Unleashed. The Goblin song will be released as a single on all your music streaming platforms, with all proceeds going to BBC Children in Need. Written by Murray Gold, lyrics. There's a song. There's going to be a song. In Doctor Who, some news outlets reported that it was like, they sort of cobbled together the song and then the episode, and then listed the cast of the episode as if to say that the cast are singing the song.
Yeah, well, I think news is a charitable term for those outlets, but yeah.
Well, one of them was like Deadline, I think so.
Oh, all right, okay, well, that's a little better.
So anyway, so stay tuned for that. There's going to be a song. Not the first time. There was the Christmas special. Voyage of the Damned
Invasion,
had
one.
Yeah. Christmas Invasion had one. Actually, they had the better version of that song. Then they made it.
Not Murder. It's the Orient Express one that has a song in it.
Yep.
Very briefly.
Yeah, it does. It's all diegetic,
but that's
of course.
also a cover of a Queen song. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it's diegetic. It's sung by Foxes.
Yeah, Foxes
on the train.
Talking to somebody.
Foxes on the Run by Sweet. Yeah, anyway.
and talking to somebody who knows a thing or two on the subject.
What music?
I'd mentioned to them I don't know how much I'm looking forward to this Goblin song in the Christmas episode. I mean, we haven't heard it. Never heard a peep of it until at the end of Unleashed earlier today. Yeah. So I'll maybe try to reserve judgment. But they did remark at the end that at the end of the day, no matter how good or how bad, Murray Gold is not really a song writer, kind of like musician, and RTD is definitely not a lyricist. So
no,
don't necessarily expect much.
I think did RTD write the lyrics too? Is that what I know? Murray Gold wrote the lyrics.
RTD wrote the lyrics. Murray Gold wrote the music.
Well,
and I'm pretty sure that was the same for Voyage of the Damned. Or did somebody else write the lyrics? I know Gold did the music. But I can't remember if RTD wrote the lyrics.
Gold certainly did the lyrics for A Christmas Carol, the song there, but there weren't that many lyrics in there.
Which is a great song, actually.
Catherine Jenkins, yeah. I don't know the history of the songs. Don't add us. Maybe do add us. I don't know.
Like if it's diegetic, I can tolerate it. It's just I just don't like showy Broadway.
I know, Warren. Basically. I know, but here's all right.
Diegetic just means like it's happening as part of something.
As part of the story,
the actual
as
thing.
opposed to being look at us for singing, you know.
Yeah,
you know, like
breaking out in song for no good reason.
Like a certain science fiction franchise decided to do relatively recently. Much to the chagrin of the people on this, 2/3.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, you like this stuff way better than we do, which is fine.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see
what it is. At least I watched the musical Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen.
I don't watch Strange New Worlds.
The more you tell me to, the less I'm likely to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Here's the curious thing. So, like, all three of these specials dropped at the exact same time. They aired at the same time at BBC One, and they dropped at the exact same time on Disney. Church on Ruby Road, the Christmas special, will be airing December 25th at 5:55 p.m. The catchy time of 5:55.
Good old UK TV.
So I imagine that 10:55 a.m. 9:55 a.m. Pacific time, and 10:55 our time. Warren, you have to get used to Mountain Time because you'll be in Edmonton.
I'll be in Edmonton, right? I do love that you can just turn on Disney Plus whenever the hell you want.
Still great.
It is still really convenient.
But
yeah,
if possible, you still kind of want to start it right at the start, so that if you happen to go on the interwebs, you're not.
Well, I just sold up. I'm not going on the interwebs, so
yeah, I know. I think I was within seconds of it, but really,
I mean, normally I am, but it is nice to know that.
I was very happily avoiding it for hours upon hours today, last week before.
Yeah.
And I also do like the fact that I'm like, I just want to watch the end, which I did. I watched the end of the Giggle, like the last 10 minutes. And I'm like, it's way easier instead of having to go on my Plex or whatever the hell else. I can just go, Disney Plus, done. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. One last thing on the Goblin song that just come out. There is art, and there's goblins in different outfits and stuff, and different wigs, and they all look practical too. They all look like
cute little dudes,
practical puppets. Yeah. Or
is anyone else getting Gremlins 2 vibes off this?
Oh,
or is
absolutely.
It just me?
I never saw Gremlins Part 2. But,
Gremlins Part 2 is the better of the two movies. It's absolute genius.
It's all meta or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like,
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's really
it is very meta. John Glover's performance is chef's kiss.
Oh, everything in it is. The guy who plays, I think it's Tony Rando, who does the Brain Gremlins voice, and he is funnier than hell. It's so good.
Gremlins 2. Is it a Christmas movie like Gremlins is, or is it not? I don't know anything about Gremlins 2.
It's just in New York. They're in a high-tech building, and it just basically what happened was Gremlins was a hit. Nobody thought it would be. Joe Dante didn't want to make a Gremlins 2. They said, "We'll give you $1 zillion to do it." He's like, "All right, can I do whatever I want?" Sure.
Drove a dump truck full of money up to my house.
Yeah, but he took the dump truck and said, "Okay, I'm gonna make the craziest crap ever, and guarantee we can't make a third one of these." And he did exactly that. He did exactly what he wanted to do, which was basically a live-action cartoon, and it's wonderful. It's funnier than hell.
Yeah. Gremlins 2.
But there's one. The reason I say that, because I guess you don't know, Stephen. There's one of the Gremlins dresses up like a 40s lounge singer chanteuse.
That's true. She does
kind of thing, which makes me think of the if you put the picture back up, was it the one in the middle?
Was it the? I think it might have been the one in the middle.
Yeah, that is very much the vibe, the Gremlins 2 vibe right there. Yeah.
I'm looking at it on our YouTube live stream here, the way, or indeed the YouTube version of this audio. People, we're on YouTube right now, so this episode will be a visual element on YouTube from now on. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I'm withholding any joke. Maybe there'll be a video too. I think there's a video coming out too for this too. So there'll be a proper thing. Be a proper thing on Monday.
Will Murray Gold be in the band like he was in Voyage?
With a mustache, with a fake mustache.
Or will they have a little Murray Gold goblin puppet?
I mean,
with a mustache.
We've got precedent between that and Kev McCulloch and the
in Delta
and the Laurels.
Yeah, it's true. Where he had his long hair and a ponytail, his very non-1959 ponytail that he had there. They would have CG'd that out if it was today.
Well, if it was actually 1959, I cut it off and said, "Get out of here."
That's true. There would have been a lot. Go listen to your Jack Kerouac records.
Who wrote Song for 10? Murray Gold wrote the music.
Yeah, with Neil somebody, wasn't it?
Neil somebody was the
Sedaka.
Yeah, I was going to say Sedaka.
Vocals.
Not Neil Sedaka. Yeah. Anyway,
sorry, Brian, I don't remember.
That's right. We'll tell you about this, even though it's you can't watch it probably anymore because there was an interactive Doctor Who art sculpture using refurbished tech at London's South Bank. So it was like you look at it and it's like there's like a metal frame with some artwork and you can tell it's David Tennant, but then you walk around to the side of it and it's Ncuti Gatwa and he appears. It's kind of cool. They had a video of it and it was kind of interesting how it did that, but it's only for this weekend. So by the time you hear this, it's probably gone. They probably didn't recycle it at all. They probably burnt it or threw it over the railing into the Thames.
This metal.
Yeah, it's into the Thames.
Insert 9/11 joke here.
It's into the Thames.
If anyone is able to get to this fast enough, as you can see in the Gatwa images, it's near the Oxo Tower.
It is too. I think this not the exact part of London where they Clara and the Doctor at the beginning of the Bells of St. John did their Land of the TARDIS. And,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched Bells of St. John in years. I don't remember.
Is this not near the exact concrete stairs leading to the BFI that was used as a location in 1973's Frontier in Space?
Who knows?
I think it is. Very well. Is this not the exact area where Neil Burnside went walking?
That's where the McDonald's is, inside that TARDIS.
In the Sandbaggers in 1979?
RTD's a long game. He's going to somehow work the Sandbaggers.
Can you please Can you please bring Roy Marsden? He's in his 80s. Can you bring him back and somehow have Neil Burnside also be involved with UNIT?
He bigenerated somehow.
I need this to happen. I don't care if it was not a BBC show. I need the Sandbaggers in Doctor Who.
No,
you already had Roy Marsden. He was the Doctor in Smith and Jones, so it can be done.
We don't.
Right?
We don't really need that.
Yeah, that's right. He was too, wasn't he?
He totally was. Love the Sandbaggers.
So do I. It's an amazing show. Still,
it's a great show.
Any show that's from the 70s, and I'm texting you about the climax of season 2, going, "Oh my God, I can't!" In all caps, I can't believe it. It's a pretty damn good show, and it's happened 40 years ago.
Oh man, we're not gonna have any gap years on Doctor Who anymore. We wasted it. We wasted it. We could have done all Sandbaggers for a whole summer.
Warren, you need to phrase such things in the form of like a listicle. You know, like, you won't believe what Sandbagger 3 did.
No, I don't need to do anything to do with listicles ever. Thank you very much. But what I was thinking is that you had your pilgrimage, Stephen. I've got a few months between now and April. There's no reason I can't watch Sandbaggers again.
Sandbaggers, so good.
And then followed up with Gangsters again. Because
I've never watched Gangsters. I've watched the first hour of the movie, and I've never gotten past it for some reason. Yeah, even though I should love it.
You should love it. Quiller too. Anyway, this episode's already, we're already going way off topic.
Yeah, we're ridiculous.
Hi everyone in the UK who stayed up for this. Hope you're happy. Let's talk a little briefly about some viewing figures, some stats, if you will. Final BBC One viewing figures for the Star Beast, 7.61 million. 10th. That's good enough for 10th these days on British TV. When you think about that, the Voyage of the Damned pretty much got double that back in 2007. Tells you a lot about the TV industry now and why stats are useless. Useless. Who knows what they are anymore? Who cares? People watch it when they watch it. Hopefully Disney Plus got some good numbers worldwide.
How long have I been saying this? Forever.
Well, bear in mind that 7.61 is including catch up. That was like 50% of this is 5.08 or something.
It's 5.08.
There's a boost of about 50% with delayed and catch-up viewing.
Yeah.
So
just in the UK. Yeah.
Yep.
We'd love to know how.
I think what you're looking for, Stephen, is overnights don't matter.
Overnights don't matter.
But the rest of it can.
The final of it is much more important because that's just how people watch TV these days. That's just how they do it. They're not like us. They don't sit there and refresh. They don't like double tap on their Apple TV and swipe up to quit out of an app so that when you launch Disney Plus at 11:30 local time, it's there because you don't have to hit refresh on the app. They're not like that. They just open it up and say, "Oh, I guess Doctor Who's on. We can watch it." Not weirdos like we are.
I saw Erica mention in the live stream chat, we are basically watching the Sandbaggers over and over again all the time.
That's true.
And I said it's the proper approach.
We absolutely are.
Way to call that one up.
And why wouldn't you?
If you ever get divorced, Stephen, that's going to be on the citation. I don't think you will. But
thank you. Talking about Doctor Who magazine issue 5, they go up to 600. Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. That was officially proclaimed because, of course, only when the Doctor is about to be Doctor Who on screen do they proclaim the new Doctor. Yep. And they got it right. Obviously, they spelled his name right.
There's no errant D anywhere.
Nope. To be fair to Doctor Who magazine, they only screwed up the very first one, which is Peter Davison in their publication history. They got every single one of them right since then, so good for them.
Yes, so I'm sure there's a joke to be made about Ncuti's errant D.
I think
there's a joke to be made. You shouldn't though.
There's a great interview in there with Benjamin Cook, and I love hearing him talk about Doctor Who and how he just sort of becomes there's a sense of kinship with the character about how, like, the Doctor's kind of like, an alien. He says he feels like an alien himself sometimes. He's born in Rwanda, moved when he was 2 to Scotland, and he sort of kind of felt like he's always sort of been this, fish out of water person. I also like the way that whenever you hear Ncuti Gatwa talk about the Doctor as a character, he drifts from he to they a lot in pronouns, and I think sometimes he's talking about they as the character as a whole before he sort of latches onto it. I think when he's talking about his Doctor, he sort of mentions it in he, but it's they when he's talking about. I just find that very interesting. And he's I'm looking forward to his. I replied to Benjamin Cook on Twitter about this, about how he kind of reminds me of Tom Baker in a way. There's a natural sort of like a spiritual connection that he has with the Doctor. And when you look at like early Tom Baker with when you see interviews of them on the location of Revenge of the Cybermen, and he's just this weird person. Even then, he's weird, but you can just tell there's a slight eccentricity that is just matches the part perfectly. And I think Gatwa has that as well. Maybe not as pronounced as Tom Baker, but it's there.
For that Tom Baker stuff, you spoke earlier about shooting in a bubble. That was all shot before a second of anything had hit the air.
Yeah. They shot all of his. I think they were pretty much done shooting all of Tom Baker's stuff before Robot went out, didn't they? Or like very close to the end, anyway. When they're shooting Genesis of the Daleks, I think when that was happening, I think it was in January or something of '75. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. Ncuti Gatwa will not have the public affection to fall back on. He'll have shot. It's interesting, actually, in that interview, he mentions about how about halfway through the season is when he sort of only started to really grasp the character, because he was shooting the last season of Sex Education simultaneous with Doctor Who a little, kind of like Peter Davison was in his first season, shooting his sitcoms and stuff like that. So by the time they started his second season, which they're just shooting right now he feels like he's really, really into it now. So it'll be interesting to see his portrayal of the Doctor change as the 2 seasons go by, because him getting the grips at the show as well, and as well with fandom finally getting into it.
If he lets that sort of thing influence him in the first place.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he seems to be, just for the 5 minutes we saw or whatever it is of him, the charming, dashing rogue aspect of the Doctor seems to be pretty much well formed to begin with.
Yeah, I think so too. But there was another article, I think on The Guardian or something like that, about how he's nervous. He's nervous about taking this on. And
he's a young guy.
He's a young guy. It's a big franchise.
It's a huge role. Yeah,
it's a big role for him.
He's also a somewhat established actor. He went to drama school. I mean,
he did.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got the goods.
So but no offense to sex education or anything like that, but there aren't any sex education conventions on it. There's
but it's
the
a Netflix
public
show.
eye.
There's probably tons of people watching it.
Yeah, but he's also like part of an ensemble cast, whereas he is the doctor. He is.
I mean, there are different things, but
he's also
don't undersell
sex
education.
Yeah,
he's also somebody that really, really stood out amongst the ensemble cast.
Got to.
Yeah,
I never saw it. Never watched that show yet.
Saw one episode, and it's not for me, but that doesn't matter. But tons of people watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We watched it, but I enjoyed it all.
I've got the Sandbaggers to watch again, so I don't have time for
this. We have 70 shows to watch, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
So much Quiller, so little time.
So much. Before
we deviate from DWM,
sure.
Do we want to talk at all about the RTD? The 8 words?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Thingamadoodle.
His production notes. I don't have it on me right now.
So like a 12 Days of Christmas sort of countdownish thing.
Exactly, and it was 8 words. A titling, I think, was the name of for 8, and where he's hinting about 8 words and fun stuff, and like it was supposed to be announced months ago. We've been keeping this under wraps for a year. It might come out next month or the month after that or something. He kept sort of teasing about it, and when you put 2 and 2 together, as we talked about, as the Broken by the Mirror.
Annoyingly right, usually.
Annoyingly right. Nicola
also, if I don't like
the
the rumor, it's probably true.
As we've seen in the bigeneration.
Yep.
The name of the spinoff, the Sea Devil spinoff, the supposed Sea Devil spinoff, shooting in spring of 2024, 5-part Sea Devil spinoff, is 8 words long, the war between the land and the sea. So this is probably what he's alluding to. So act surprised, everyone, when the Sea Devils spinoff is announced at some point in the next few months.
I only have one request for that show, that we have some of that sweet, sweet electronic music from the original Sea Devils. And it just
yeah, Malcolm Clark library music comes back, and that's that's what I said. Yeah, actually, think about that. I mean, we all think that is the first spin-off to be shot, but as David Tennant was saying, there's so much going on behind closed doors, and guess what, the set of Unit is a big expensive set, and it's behind closed doors, so they could have been shooting a Unit spin-off all this time, and
they could have been doing a Sea Devil spin-off in a volume somewhere.
Oh, hopefully not, but
it's possible though.
I think, Warren, I think judging by the size of the practical set for the TARDIS and for Unit, there is no volume involved.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
But they've also got a crap ton of studio space. So anything they're shooting in the studio,
really
completely obscured from the outside world. So who knows what's already been shot.
Well, they run out of money, so it's going to be in a public pool.
I mean, they, as Jason Sell likes to say on The Incomparable One, they were talking about when they built the sets of the Enterprise for season 2 of Discovery. They built the sets. Why not make a show? And that's probably what they're doing with Unit.
That's absolutely right.
It'll all just happen in that Unit control room. Maybe it's to be like the Sandbaggers. That's what the Sandbaggers was, and that's why it was so great. It'll just be Unit HQ, and we won't actually see the Unit missions that happen. We'll just see like Kate Stewart and Shirley and Mel, and they'll sit there and talk about things, and they'll just be picking up phones and
workplace comedy.
Cigarettes.
That's what it is. It'll be shot documentary style just to annoy you.
It'll shot multicam videotape just to save on costs. It'll basically just be the Sandbaggers.
I love how we wish cast videotape onto everything. It's ridiculous.
Unit meets the Mary Tyler Moore show kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it ends with Kate Stewart taking her hat, which she sometimes has, and flinging it in the air, just like Mary Tyler Moore.
Not even her hat. She takes the beret off another Unit squad.
She takes the Briggs hat from like a mantle and goes flings it up.
From Cyber Briggs, so take it off
there
the Cyber
Brig
and throw it in the air.
As long as she doesn't take the turban off that Sikh soldier we saw.
Good God.
No, don't do that.
It's getting late. Chris is getting inappropriate.
Yeah, I know. Very much so. I can't believe this episode's going this long. Thanks everyone for sticking with us so far. We just have a few things to tell you about. This coming week is exciting because December 11th is going to be the big day because there's the Goblin song, obviously, which you'll all be humming. Maybe. I think there's going to be a big press launch for when it comes to Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor because he's the Doctor now, don't you know? And so there might be a whole bunch of stuff coming about Christmas on Monday, but on Friday, there's going to be 2 big things. Blue Peter. Ncuti Gatwa, Millie Gibson, and Russell T Davies will all be appearing on Blue Peter this Friday on CB. It's on CBBC, isn't it? For those of you in the UK. In case you want search terms to search out the Pirate Bay later on, everyone, that's the one to search for. And then later that night, which has probably already been shot because they shoot these a few days in advance, Ncuti Gatwa is guesting on the Graham Norton Show at like 10 o'clock, or I don't know when that is, December 15th as well. So Friday will be a big day for seeing Ncuti Gatwa representing Doctor Who, which is pretty cool. So there you go.
With,
there's
Imelda Staunton. Didn't she do? She was on The Girl Who Waited as the voice.
No, you're thinking of no. I think you're mixing up things. I think you're thinking of I don't think she was on that. I know she plays the Queen, doesn't she, in the Netflix show The Crown?
I think so. I don't know. I don't even have Netflix. Have it for years, so no clue.
So the puppets of the Celestial Toymaker were pretty creepy, but does that match the creepiness of the new animation?
She voiced the interface.
Not.
Yeah.
Sorry, she did voice the interface in The Girl Who Waited.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Didn't know that. Anyway,
horrible, isn't this?
The Celestial Toymaker is being not fully animated. They're leaving the existing episode 4 as is. So it's not like the recent ones where they're doing the complete, all parts of it, even the ones that are existing. They released a clip and everything, and it's sort of like, it's in color.
It looks like previs is what it looks like.
It kind of looks like previs.
I hate to crap on the people because they had to do a job. I don't know what the conditions were or anything like that, but it does look really weird. It looks like Thunderbirds in previs.
The one thing about Doctor Who animated stuff is everything looks different.
Which is not
very
necessarily
good,
a bad
and it's very
thing.
bad.
Yeah.
Because you get zero consistency, but then you get a whole lot of different styles. Some people are going to dig them, some people are not.
Yeah, it's actually you can put it better than that, could Chris? Frankly,
yeah, it's it's kind of like an amalgam of something of like what was the David Tennant one?
Dreamland?
The one with the grass,
Dreamland, and
the Infinite Quest.
Yeah, no, it's Dreamland, and the sort of
Dreamland was the one with the weird elongated limbs. And
that's
whatnot.
the one I'm talking about. That's their
arms are too long.
Yeah, that one as well, mixed in with the Web of Fear Part 3 recon, which I kind of like because it mimics the missing episode more than I think an animated version would be. I'm curious about this. I'm also curious.
They're trying something different until I see the whole thing. Like I might just get used to it. At first glance, I'm not thrilled, but watching it for 20 minutes, you might go, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Who knows when that's going to come out here in North America. Season 17 is the standard release Blu-ray coming out in January 22nd. We already have that, I suppose, here, so we don't have to worry about that in North America. But we're down. We get the Daleks. The Daleks in colors coming in late February here, so at least we got that covered. Underwater Menace is coming out early January 9th, I think.
Yep. April for Peter Davison's
for season 20.
Season 20, yeah.
Still waiting, by the way. Should be arriving both for Chris and I next week. The 13th will be
supposed to be yesterday.
The big box set.
Yeah.
And we don't have any announcement at all for the 3 Tennant specials, all which are coming out in the UK soon. We don't have the Celestial Toymaker isn't mentioned. Is that all? Is that am I all caught up on stuff that hasn't been announced for?
Well, the UK still doesn't have anything past season 20 for announced Blu-rays.
Yeah, they haven't actually announced
we don't know
that.
what to next expect.
Yeah.
Let alone when we're going to see it over here.
I'm going to guess, and this is just me guessing, just because the BBC is sort of all like in the midst of a 60s, new Doctor Who returning. They might wait until January to announce the next box set. Just because for
the people that are going to buy these box sets, because there's such a limited run of in the UK anyway. There's such a limited run of the collection versions, the quote unquote good versions,
right?
That I don't think that announcing that season whatever is next is really going to dilute any news about Gatwa's first season or whatever.
No, but they do have those fun trailers written by Pete McTighe, which have become quite a thing now, and that kind of hogs the airway. It's not just a press release. It's not just like Celestial Toymaker. There's like a 30-second teaser or something, and that's about it. I think there's going to be more to a season box set, so.
Just to jump into the live stream chat here.
Sure.
Steve Manford, who definitely knows a thing or two about DVDs, to say the least. Says, I don't know if you want to pull it up, Stephen. I've heard new episodes are exclusive to Disney Plus in North America for 1 year each. No Blu-rays until that time elapses.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if there's going to be a Disney Plus aspect to that. That is why it's limiting a physical release.
However, Disney Plus has put out at least Marvel and I think a few other things.
Mandalorian
on
1 and 2 are out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, WandaVision came out and a couple other ones, I think.
If you think back to 2005 Doctor Who, Sci-Fi in the US, Sci-Fi, picked up the series, and the DVDs were going to come out in the US. But when it got picked up for TV distribution, the US release got pushed back however many months it was. So we got it in Canada.
Yeah.
And they still didn't get it in the US for however many months after.
Which is not how it works normally.
No, it doesn't really work that way. Yeah, very, very, very strange.
But, so having Disney Plus have some sort of like buffer like this, I mean, completely understandable, and certainly not without precedent.
No, I guess we just have to have internet, which about 20 minutes before recording I didn't have for a few seconds, which is terrifying.
And $15 a month to spend on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know. Well,
to get the used good version.
It's the only streaming service I think I still subscribe to besides Gem. So I mean,
we're getting used to paying for streaming services now. Anyway, I can't believe we are like pushing 2 hours on this thing. So let's tell you about a couple of Big Finish things before we get the hell out of here. The 11th Doctor Chronicles is coming out. Victory of the Doctor. It's the last regular one from Jacob Dudman as the 11th Doctor. That's happening in February of 2024. And then there's a third Doctor Adventures returning, Revolution in Space, coming also in February 2024. I bet you there's going to be some Big Finish people like Gallifrey 1 telling you all about it when that happens. So that's happening. And last, this is coming later on. We might have to remind you about this one. December 30th, Toby Haydock's Absent Friends, the roll call of the dead, all the people that we lost sadly in the most recent year. He does a great job on those. And it's called The Seventh Dimension, starring December 30th on BBC Radio 4 Extra.
I haven't seen anything about, because he always does the YouTube in memoriam video.
That's usually like New Year's Day. Like he waits until the last possible second to.
He's very good at that.
We'll have that sooner than later as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. We will. But that's it. That is it for this long but worthy episode. I mean, it's not every day that you have a new Doctor show up on your screens, just like we did with Ncuti Gatwa, who is our new Doctor. And we will see again on Christmas Day. We'll do another live stream. We'll do another live stream probably on Boxing Day for that.
That's 26 for the rest of you non-Canadian English people.
Exactly.
Australians probably.
Yep, but that's not next week. Next week, we'll just talk about news and catch up on stuff and just have a nice, normal, quiet, regular episode for one solitary week. Kind of like David Tennant's Doctor sitting in a garden somewhere having a nice meal. That's kind of what we're going to do next week before the craziness all kicks off again with Christmas and the church on Ruby Road. So. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
We're in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.